What's up, guys? I hope you have an amazing day. I just wanted to share a wise man who I look up to as a mentor in my life. Gave me an acronym about the Bible that changed my perspective on the Bible. BIBLE, which essentially is just basic instructions before leaving Earth. And I really resonated with that because if you just really read the context and the information that's in the Bible, it really is just basic instructions, common sense situations that can be used in your everyday life. And when I talk about basic instructions, here's a verse from Romans. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse. For although they knew God, but neither glorified him as God, nor gave him thanks, but their thinking became futile, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Although they claimed to be wise, they became fools, and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images made to look like immortal human beings and birds and animals and reptiles. When it says that, it just reminds me of like the Egyptian gods, the Roman gods, the Greek gods. Like, all of these are just man-made, or they could also be real. You know, in the Old Testament, it talks about that God is a jealous God, that there is no other God like him. And so maybe there are other gods. You know, maybe there are fallen angels or just different spiritual beings. You know, we live in a spiritual world. We live in a physical world, but it's also spiritual. And we disregard the spiritual because we're so consumed with the physical, with the materialistic ideas and ideology. We kind of just disregard the spiritual side. And so when you take into that account, there's a lot of missing information. Therefore, God gave them over to their sinful desires of their hearts, to their sexual impurity, for the degrading of their bodies with one another. They exchanged the truth about God for a lie, and worship and serve created things rather than the Creator, who is forever praised. Amen. And that's what I'm talking about. We create the things that we as a human society have created, and we've also been programmed to indulge in it, to love it, to become lustful. If you really think about it, our generation has been programmed to become lustful through the entertainment that we watched, through the TV, because TV is just televised programming. They are programming us to think like this. And if you don't believe me, there is documentaries after documentaries of things coming out of movie stars and political figures and music artists like Diddy, or like there was one for the Nickelodeon TV show where this guy was he had, you know, fetishes. I feel like it's taboo to talk about that, but he had fetishes that he put into the shows that we watched growing up as kids. And as kids, we didn't think anything of it. But now as an adult, when you look back and you actually watch it with a conscious mind, because when we were kids, we were, I guess, a little unconscious because we didn't know the reality. But when you look back with a conscious mind, you're like, this is kind of disgusting. And think about it. We've been watching these kids shows since we were 10, maybe even 5 years old. And we've been programmed for the last 20 years. And it sucks. You know, so now hopefully with this information, you can start to be more consciously aware of what you're watching and what you're listening to. Because, like, again, even our music artists, things that we listen to have an effect on our spiritual, physical, mental, and emotional body. And if you don't believe me, think about the music that we listen to now. A majority of it is talking about sex, talking about drugs, talking about degrading men and women. How does that benefit us as a society? And so hopefully I can encourage you with just to be more mindful of what you retain in your mind, what you listen, and then what goes to your heart. You know what I mean? Because we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, So we should listen more and speak less. But what are you listening into? Or what are you listening that is going to your heart, which is also going to your mind, because it affects you. So I hope you have an amazing day. I hope that you can gain something out of this. And if not, well, the ones that have eyes to see and ears to hear will understand. Deuces.